And once again, welcome. I'm glad to see everyone back this week. And every week we are going to be looking at certain ways that we can work on ourselves. And I want to say I love all of you because all of you have the intention to heal your lives, to grow spiritually. And that is so beautiful to me. So all of you, we're all coming from the same place. And remember, this is a very safe place that you can express yourself. We are not on YouTube. We're not out there where the world can criticize what we're doing. There's no trolls or anything like that. We're all here with the same intention, and we all want, well, yeah, the same intention, the same thing. And I am really asking for guidance to give us what we need every week to help us grow more spiritually, to improve our lives. And there couldn't be a better time for this because everything is so crazy out there and it's getting crazier by the minute, it seems. So we don't want to be a part of that. We want to be part of the light, not the craziness. And this should give us a sense of peace and a sense of grounding during these difficult times the world is going through. But, you know, there are always the extremes where there's the greatest darkness, there's the greatest light, and we're going to be the light. So that's my whole purpose in this coming together of like-minded people here. So the one thing I wanted to start with is our first 3 breaths. And one thing before I go into the 3 breaths, I want you to know why I chose the number 3. I love numbers. Everything is about numbers, really. Nikola Tesla said it best. And he said, if you understand the meanings behind the numbers 3, 6, and 9, then you understand the universe. And really, they're all a derivative of 3. 3 is, we're in the 3rd dimension. And did you ever think about it? We're the 3rd planet from the sun. And on top of that, 3 is the number of creativity. And this dimension is about creation. We're here because we can create. And that's so powerful to realize. So the number 3 is so important. And in astrology, now remember, I told you guys you don't have to be astrologers to be part of this group. I'll make this as simple as I can. But in astrology, I always say the 3rd house is the most underrated house in the astrological chart. Why do I say that? Well, they don't really give it any benefic meaning. It's just kind of like it's a mild dastana. What's that mean? It means it's kind of a crummy house in that terminology. But to me, it's the most powerful because the 3rd house deals with our willpower. If we don't have the will to do something, the will to live, we'll never be able to create anything in our lives. And that's why we're here. We're here to create a life and to grow. The 3rd house deals with the thinking mind. And when we get that harnessed, we can change our lives. So with that, let me start with, first, when you take these deep breaths, remember you fill up the pit of your stomach, not just your lungs. You fill it up from the pit of your stomach, but visualize the light coming in, white iridescent light coming in as you breathe from the crown, going down through the heart energy, through the root chakra, and eliminate that fear. Then when you exhale, throw it all out. But remember, always, always, always breathe through your nose. The nose is for breathing. The mouth is for speaking and eating. But use the nose and just visualize the white light, filling your whole body as you inhale. And when you inhale, remember to activate the 3rd eye, the crown chakra, and just all the chakras, healing them, and especially the heart chakra, which deals with our power to heal through love. So with that, Let's do this great, powerful 3 breath work. Now let's start. Close your eyes and let's breathe in. Breathe out. Another one, breathe in. Breathe out. Last breath. Breathe in. And exhale. So now we should be grounded. And remember, it's always about intention. So we talked about intention last week. What we intend is so vitally important. But I came up with a new saying. Every week I'm going to come up with a new saying or a new word to focus in on for the week. And last week it was intention. Intention is always going to be one of my things that I want you to focus in on. But what came for us to focus on this week is to be what you want. So what does that mean, be what you want? So many people in the area of relationships, they want a certain relationship. And I always tell them, visualize, write down, focus on what you want in a relationship, the type of person, what you need in a relationship, and don't be afraid to put exactly what you want and need. But in order to receive that, you have to be it. Because relationships are always a reflection of who we are. And that's really hard for us to believe sometimes when you're in a dysfunctional relationship. But you have to know that many people, or all people that are in a dysfunctional relationship, it's like that partner is going to come to reflect a part of you, what you believe about yourself. So when people are in a dysfunctional relationship, they have no self-esteem. And so guess what? They attract somebody that will reflect that sense of what they feel deep down about themselves. It's pretty hard for us to understand that and think, how did I attract that? How did I want that? Why is this person in my life? And I keep attracting the same types. Well, that's why, because there is something in you that you're recognizing in that person, so you're drawn to it. And that's part of what you're here to heal. So in all relationships, we must take it back, stand back and look at it for what it is, because relationships are a mirror of ourselves. Okay. So that's, so the thing I want us to talk about a little bit and concentrate on, and this is not just about relationships, but you have to be what you want. If you believe that someone has to be loyal, someone has to be giving, someone has to be compassionate, you must be those things. That's the only way you're going to attract that, for that mirror image of yourself to come back at you. So if it's not working the way you think it should, you think, well, I don't know how I attracted that. Stand back, do some self-analysis, see, how did I attract that? What is it in me that's being mirrored back? So that's one thing I came across, and I have to tell you, I came across it mainly because of some of the readings I did this week. I had an individual who was suicidal, and he always attracted these incredibly dysfunctional relationships. And so I asked him, I said, why do you think you keep attracting the same type of woman that causes you all this grief and pain and sadness and hurt. And we talked about it, it has to relate to something back in childhood. It usually does. Remember what I said last week, that we really have to be a fly on the wall and see what we're doing and why we are reacting in the way we do. And he reflected for a moment. He's a very high profile individual and very wise. He knows better than to always get involved. Said there were red flags all along the way, but he couldn't help himself because he really did love being a victim, and he loved the self-pity on himself because his mother, he realized this, his mother, when he went into those bouts of self-pity and being a victim, that's when he felt like he got the love he wanted from his mother. So that was the whole process. And once we realize what we're doing, because it takes self-analysis and it takes, really being truthful to ourselves, that we can realize these things. And when we realize the whole culprit of what we're doing, then we can heal it. We know what the cause is. If you don't know what the cause is, like in a disease, if you have a cold, if you don't know you have a cold, but it's allergies, you're not treating the right thing. So this is what we need to do. We need to find the cause that we are doing, because remember, all of life, this is something that blew my mind. I got to share with you something else. This may seem really strange, and it is. But one time when I was a little girl, I remember back in the days when I was a little girl, my dad was, and I remember exactly where we were driving. And I mean, I was pretty young, really young. I was in the back of a station wagon car. Okay. Back then we didn't wear seatbelts. And I mean, when my dad turned, my whole body went from one side of the car to the other. But when I was back there, just a vision or a voice came into my head and said, you are all that is. I'm like, what? All that's going on around you is a movie. Everything out there is you, and it's all just a movie. And I was like, you mean nobody's real out there? It's just me? And I thought, if I ever told anybody this, they think, what an egotistical, crazy nut is that? But I've come to realize as I've gotten older that it's actually the truth, because we are all one. And what we really are is we're looking out there at a reflection of all of us. We're all one and the same. So it is all a movie. I mean, for this to happen, I must have been maybe 4 years old, or maybe 3 when this came to me, and I never forgot it. It's like, I can even remember what street we were driving on in this car. It was such a revelation for such a little girl. And I kind of put it in the back of my mind thinking, that's kind of crazy. But, it was kind of the truth. It is the truth. I hope you can understand what I meant by that you are your universe, and everyone out there is part of your world to reflect it back to you on how you are supposed to heal your life and grow. We are all one. Therefore, that is why you are that center, and you have the power to change yourself. So the next thing I want to talk about today is being what you want. And what I want you to do during this week is I want you to write what you want to be. What is it you really want to achieve in this world? And what you believe you need to be that. And the way that you really have to visualize this is not like, oh, I want to get there. Oh, I want to do this. No, you're there. You come from a place where you're there, and you be everything that you have to be to manifest this. Do you realize that? This works. And it's really powerful that we have Joe Vitale this month, because he is a master at manifestation. And those of you that might know him, he was in The Secret. He's been my client for, gosh, maybe 20 years before he became in The Secret, and way before he was successful. As a matter of fact, when he tells his story, way back when, he was a street person at one point, had to go into like the YMCA's to take a shower, or, you know, go, yeah, that's where I think he was able to get clean. And he became extremely successful. And it was all because he changed his concept of what's going on in here. So that's what I want to talk about. And another message that came to me this morning, and then we're going to talk about this. And the next thing I want to do is show you the charts. We're going to talk about the astrology of what's going on. And I'm going to show you one of the pictures I pulled from my book. But one more thing. So the two messages are, be what you want. In other words, whatever you think you want in this life, you got to be it. You're there. Do as you're already there. Have all of the attributes, the emotion, the feeling, you're there. So you've got to be it if you want it. Okay. The next thing is that I feel like watching people all this week, I came to a little realization. Probably all of you already know this realization. It's not a big deal, but I noticed a lot of people out there in the media, but mainly I was watching some YouTubes and astrologers and things like that all this week. But I found that a lot of people, they felt like they had to prove somebody wrong in order to be right. And why do you have to prove someone wrong to be right? You just do what you think is right. Don't feel like you have to ever prove others wrong in order to validate yourself. That was another message I want you to take note of this week. And you know, that always brings me back to the Course in Miracles saying, which is, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And let me tell you something, my husband throws that one in my face quite often. Because we all have that where we want to be right, right? And he's like, you remember what you always say. So yeah, but still, we just remember you don't have to prove somebody wrong to be right. That's so important for everyone to recognize. And I noticed so many people doing that everywhere all week. So those are our key messages for the week. And I want some feedback on it all as we as I open up the floor for everyone to speak. But I want to show you the picture that I pulled. Remember last week I showed you the book I made of like 300 pictures from magazines. It's like my own tarot cards, but I always call it answers. This is where you can get your answers. I ask a question and then I open the book. So I asked the question, what are we to learn from this week or today's class? What is it? And let me show you what I got, and I'll tell you what I think it means. And so can you all see it very well? Okay, it is like an eagle getting ready to pounce on something. It's got its focus. Look at how intense that bird is. It's ready and it's aimed and it's going towards its goal. So that's what I kind of think this tells me, that we have to focus in on what we want. Focus in on it and go after it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You know, it's like, and when you focus and when you make that dive for what you really need and want, you're going to get it. That's intention. That's the strongest intention I can see with this bird. It's got its focus. And remember, the eagle, or any bird like this for that matter, you know, there's a reason why it's called eagle eye, because they can see clearly. They can see what they want and they can direct their focus. And on a dime, they can pick up whatever they want. They can even, spot fish in the water and, grab it out of the water. This is just so precision, direct, and focused. That's what I saw in that particular picture. But another thing, when we look at the astrology of this week, I think it's very reminiscent of the astrology. And I don't know if any of you guys watch the YouTube channel Inspired, but John Nolan had me on this week. He interviewed me, and I talked pretty much about everything that I told you guys last week, because he asked me, what do you do to become balanced in this world right now? And I told him all the things that we discussed. But he's got a beautiful channel, and he's going to be with us. He's going to be the speaker in May. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. We'll put out all the speakers that we have scheduled. You're going to be amazed with some of the high profile celebrities that we have. So get ready. We've got lots of learning to do. I'm here to learn from them as well. So let me now, I want to share the screen, and I'm going to show you the astrology of what we're looking at. Oops, not that. So here is the astrology for today. And today is April 5th, 2022, and I did it for 12 noon. I'm in Dallas, so I got to do it for Dallas. I know it's different locations around the world right now, but hey, this is where it's happening. So the most important aspect that we've all been talking about as an astrologer is this, that Mars and Saturn. And this is Mars, this is Saturn for both of you for you that don't know this, the symbols. And I always tell all my students, might be like, why does she have to use those symbols? I'd rather have MA for Mars, SA for Saturn. Some astrologers do it like that. Why? Because these symbols activate our subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is where our psychic ability will grow and develop. So I like symbols because the mind works in symbols instead of language. It's really the core nature of how everything is represented. Spirit will communicate with us with signs and symbols. We've talked about that last week, how pay attention to the signs and symbols that are happening throughout the week. And one of the things, the sign and symbol that came loud and clear for me throughout this past week was how people have to, in order to be right, have to prove someone else wrong. And that's not right. We just come from what we know is right. And that's that. Don't back it up with what anyone else said to prove you're right. And this is what I think this Mars and Saturn aspect represents, because Saturn is the planet of setbacks, delays, problems, endings. Mars is the planet of war and aggression and anger. You put those two planets together and it's very unpleasant, because first of all, those two planets are opposite and they do not like each other. They're first-rate enemies to each other. So they're at a contentious war. And what do we have on the planet right now? We have a war. But let me remind everyone, these two planets come together every 2 years. We don't have a massive war like this every 2 years. But there's other things operating in this cycle. It's like the signs they're in, and also the other aspects to the other planets. Remember, when you look at a horoscope where all the planets are, it is like a fingerprint. There will never be the same exact one. There will never be a day when all the planets are in the particular degrees and positions they're in. So it's a mark in time of something very, very specific. So we take our knowledge of astrology and try to apply what the heavens are trying to tell us. And most of all, how to give us guidance. This is what it's used for. It's not just to, be a gypsy and, give fortunes to people when you're going to get rich and all of that. It's really to give us guidance. And that's what I want to look at this, because we could look at these planets as being ultra negative. But what are we here to do in this class together? Find the light and the positive. So that's what I want to bring out of what we're looking at here. But let me first tell you what I see. So we know what these two planets mean. Now, they're in the sign of Capricorn, which makes it extremely intense. And for those of you that don't know, Mars is exalted in the sign, meaning when we say exalted, we mean it's the strongest. It empowers that planet to be its utmost strongest power. Everything that planet represents, it is at top level power when it's in its exalted sign. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Now Saturn is in Capricorn, and Saturn rules that sign. So that's another sign that a planet will feel very strong and empowered in. So not only that, but most of you don't know, but those that do know can't get their eyes off that degree mark. 28 degrees, believe it or not, is the highest degree of exaltation. There's the whole sign is exalted, but the degree it is its most powerful force is 28 degrees. How often do Saturn and Mars come together with them both being 28 degrees and Mars at its highest peak of exaltation? I don't know a time. This is rare, is my point. And these things that look like horseshoes, I always tell people when I do a reading that they don't know astrology. I say, well, look at either the upside up headset or the horseshoes. They're always opposite. These are the points that determine eclipses. They are huge in a chart. And as most of you know that have followed me for a while, I used those to predict the oncoming of the coronavirus, because every time that Rahu is in Gemini and Ketu is in Sagittarius, it always had a catastrophic event. So I think you know the power of these two placements by now. So my point is, in pointing these out, we're not going to go into great detail, but I want you to notice the degrees they're at, 28 degrees. They're always opposite. Don't think that is anything special. They're always opposite. But it is special that they're 28 degrees, because here is Saturn and Mars at the exact midpoint of these two planets. And I believe that represents something huge is happening right now, because these 2 points are our destiny and what is going on. What is going on in the world? This is our destiny, Rahu and Ketu. This one, the right side up headset is Rahu. The upside down one is Ketu. Rahu is what brings us into the world, and Ketu is what takes us out. They really deal with our destiny. And for these two first-rate malefic planets in a chart, natural malefics, to come together at that midpoint, something's up. Whether we can see it happening in the world or not, something huge is happening. And yes, you could say, oh, the world's coming to an end, it's horrible, all that. No. What does this mean? And you know what that Mars Saturn mean? Mars, of course, is anger. Saturn is frustration. So everyone's frustrated and angry out there in the world right now. That's what it tells me. And that does create bad circumstances, such as the circumstance. Remember, these planets have been applying to each other for a while. It's just that yesterday they were exact, and today. But they've been applying for a long time. Don't think that this only reflects today and yesterday. It reflects like the whole time period around here for about, I'd say, a month's time, that this is really, really reflecting what this energy is about. I mean, the Will Smith slap was an example of anger, frustration. The war in Ukraine is an example of the anger, frustration. The media, the news, there's anger, frustration. And you know what I think represents that? This. This is an example of what people are feeling. But how can we take this negative, this energy that most would say are negative, and look at how is it positive? You know what I say? I say this. This gives us the ability to focus. We have this Saturn is the planet, I know I said, of delays, setbacks, obstacles, endings, but on a positive note, that's what we have to start looking at. What are these planets' positive side? Each planet has meanings of a positive and a negative nature. And you know what? Sometimes we just want to go to the negative side, right? We want to talk about, oh, that's terrible. Look at the world. Go where all that blame is, right? All that blame. You have to prove somebody wrong to be right, right? All that blame going on. No, here is what we're here to do. Let's focus on what could the positive attributes of this conjunction mean? Well, on the positive flip side, Saturn is discipline, it's focus. And once again, I think that bird is pretty darn focused, if you ask me. And it deals with order and structure. And that's what we are trying to find in our lives right now, because it seems like the opposite end of the spectrum is disorder. But no, Saturn is order. And Capricorn is probably the most progressive sign with ambition and order and drive. Now, let's talk about Mars. We talked about all the negative qualities of Mars. It's anger, it's weapons, it's the planet of war, it's the planet of attack. But what is the positive side of Mars? Mars is pure, unadulterated energy. It is energy. It rules sports. It rules competition. It rules our muscles. It rules our blood. Mars is red. And no, I didn't wear red today, even though it's Mars Day. Like I said, I'm going to wear whatever color I like on a day. A lot of people pay homage, and it's a cool thing when you do, to each, planetary day, what planet rules that day, what color it rules. But Mars is blood. Mars is what gives us life, because we couldn't be here without the blood flow in our body, the blood through our veins. And it deals with our drive and our ambition. It deals with that gut. When just that gut of Mars is like that feeling. It rules the solar plexus. When you feel like you've been hurt by somebody, what do you feel like? You feel like you've been punched in the gut. That's the solar plexus. And what is Saturn when you talk about the chakras? I've said many times that our bodies are our own solar system, that we exist on this planet, such as Saturn is the furthest away that's visible to the naked eye. It rules our root chakra, which rules with fear. Then we come to the reproductive chakra, which is Jupiter. Remember, we're going from the slowest moving planet to the fastest moving planet. Then we come to our solar plexus, which next in that lineup in our solar system is Mars. Then we come to the heart, which is Venus. Venus is love. Then we come to the throat chakra, which is Mercury, all about communication. Then we come to the sun, which is the third eye, and the crown chakra, which is the fastest moving planet, the moon. So that's our chakra system, and it is relative to the planets. And the way those planets are positioned in your birth chart can tell you which chakra, whether that planet is harmed or not in your birth chart, can tell you what chakra is just not functioning as well as the others. It's fascinating to see. But going back to what this concerns, Mars and Saturn. Mars is, when I think about the positive attribute of Mars, I think of it as a spiritual warrior. And with Saturn, that's the focus. So it is the focus about being a spiritual warrior. That's what we're here to do today. What a positive way of using this energy. And I think that bird on the attack is exactly what we're here to do. It's so interesting the way that picture ties into what the planets are telling us. But let's go to the whole reason why I started this class in the first place. This Jupiter Neptune, they're almost exact. They will be exact. I believe it's April 13th. They will both be 29 degrees of Aquarius. And you know what I think this means? Well, Aquarius is an air sign. So the energy is going to change when they both roll over into Pisces, which is before the end of April as well. But being at the last degree of a sign, to me, is like the end of something. Something is happening that's coming to completion. The fact that that conjunction comes together on that day at the last degree of a sign means we're coming to a realization. So what does Jupiter mean? Those of you who don't know, Jupiter is the great benefic in astrology. It deals with abundance, wealth, opportunities more than anything. Everyone wants to know where their Jupiter is, because Jupiter is that all-powerful planet that is fabulous. Jupiter gives us money, Jupiter gives us love, Jupiter gives us children, Jupiter gives us happiness and confidence. Don't we all want to know where Jupiter is in our chart? Yes. Of course, on the flip side of the coin, it can be excess, overweight, overdoing, drugs and things, or food, everything in excess. And that's not good either. We need the organization and the discipline of Saturn to achieve. And that's why in astrology, we always say, when both Jupiter and Saturn aspect a point, then that's a point of manifestation, because Jupiter gives opportunities, but Saturn gives the focus to get the job done. But going back to Jupiter being all those good things of expansion, just remember wherever Jupiter is, it expands wherever it is. And Neptune is, well, let's talk about the negative. And then we're going to talk about the positive, because I'm sure you're going to see the negative all over the place. The negative is deception, deceit, denial, illusion, scandals. Number one, secret scandals, things you can't see. Things that are cloudy and foggy from the surface. You just can't see it. Neptune transits in your chart, you just can't see the reality or the truth of something, unless you're an astrologer and you have to wake up because you're not seeing it. I mean, I always say that Neptune rules, that when you go through a Neptune transit, it's like a spell's been cast over you. And once the Neptune transit wears off, you wake up and you go, what in the world was I thinking? And we've all been through this. We all thought something was so great and grand and wonderful. And then all of a sudden we realized, oh my God, we were deluded. We were, we couldn't see it. So that's what Neptune is all about. Let's talk about the positive side of Neptune. It is bliss. It is when you feel like you have found the answer and you're high as you can be on life and everything. It is the best. Of course, Neptune can rule cults and things like that, because, sometimes when we think we found the answer and it's in a religious grouping or something, we idolize those people in the group and the leaders. And how many times have we been disillusioned with that? Here we are trying to seek spirituality, trying to find the answers. And we find someone that tells us, I have the answers. And you get so excited because it's going to lead you into bliss and oblivion, out of this world experience. And that's what I mean by bliss, out of this world experience. But only to find out later, these people aren't anything they said that they were. They walk a good walk, they talk a good talk, but they don't walk the walk, And you're not going to ever hear me say I'm a spiritual leader, ever. I am an astrologer and I'm trying to grow spiritually, and we're doing it together because, you know, that's quite extreme to make claims like that. But, you know, when they do, I used to tell my students, whenever someone makes claims like that, run as fast as you can the other direction. Okay. So that's how I feel about that. But let's go back to what Neptune's positive qualities. So it's bliss. It's otherworldly. It like takes you to other worlds in dimensions of awareness. We all want that. We want to become aware. We want to become free of the delusions and deceptions of this world. But you know, they say Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. And what I boil that back down to, Venus is love. So when we're talking about the real beauty of Neptune, it's love. But it's got to be unconditional love, not love that's like, you know, passionate and sexual and all that. That's conditional. It always has its conditions, and it doesn't last forever. But unconditional love is forever. And that's what I think Neptune can bring us to with this awakening. Now, here's another thing that's happening. Jupiter coming together with Neptune. I've noticed all sorts of major awakenings from deception and illusions lately. And what is the biggest deception I feel like's been going on? I have to say it. And I hope you guys agree with me. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not going to say I'm always right. Remember, my husband gets after me with that. Remember, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? But, but here's the thing, the media. I don't think the media has been honest with us. And I've been saying this all along, and people put me in the category of conspiracy theorist. And I just like, nothing's right, you know? And you can think about many things, but the media is dishonest. And Neptune and Jupiter coming together, well, Jupiter is going to reveal the deception sitting on Neptune, and it's coming out. And you know what I saw today on the news, which is kind of interesting. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. It doesn't matter if you do or don't. But Elon Musk is now one of the biggest shareholders in Twitter. And Twitter is pretty bad. I'm sorry. All of these powerful media groups, they're all in it together. And always, when you boil it all down, where does it always end up? Follow the money. You know, that's going to be what it's always truly about in this materialistic, difficult world where people are, you know, dog eat dog to get ahead. It's always about the money. And somehow all these groups, it's well vested for them to reveal what they need to reveal to help themselves financially even more. And maybe it's that they're all working together, governments around the world, China and whatnot, all of that. I don't know for certain. I know it's always about the money. I don't know where the money's, you know, exactly. I could tell you what I hear in the news, but how do we know that's truth ever? But I think it's interesting because Elon Musk, he feels like the media's been dishonest, and that's why he's become the biggest shareholder in Twitter recently. But to go back to the astrology, I think that's what I've been saying is going to happen with Jupiter Neptune coming together. And all these truths are coming out about the things that they have been not telling us. You know, by not telling us things, that's deceptive. If they're true news media, they're supposed to report on the news. What is the truth? What is going on? But they only report on the things they want us to know, and they skew the truth. That's that Neptune, not being able to see things. So what is Jupiter coming together with Neptune on the positive side? That the truth is really coming out. But aside from getting all caught up in all these crazy things the world's doing, remember the world is a reflection of what's going on within us. So how can we take that back and see what we want to see about ourselves? Not, you know, because out there, we pretty much know Part of that's within us. Yeah, we like the excitement of all that crazy stuff. We do. You got to admit it. We wouldn't be talking about it if we didn't think it was fun and entertaining. I think, it's entertaining, but we can't take it to control our lives anymore. And what I'm trying to say with that is we want to look at this Jupiter Neptune as the positive of the truth. So what is the real truth? The real truth is who you really are. And that is connecting to your divine spirit and coming from the light instead of the dark. And I believe because this is revealing the truth, we have this great opportunity when they come together to realize our truth. Not just all this foolishness going on in the world out there, but what our truth is. And what is our truth? Really, to realize who we are. And what do I keep telling us? I know it sounds airy-fairy, but we are all part of God. We are God. I'll never forget this book in the 70s I read. It was like groundbreaking at the time. And it was called 3 Magic Words. And oh my God, those 3 magic words were so sacrilegious. It actually came out in the late 60s. That was so sacrilegious because you know what those 3 magic words are? I am God. Oh my God, that was beyond belief. You cannot say that. I was raised Catholic, forgive me for that, but I remember, when we had to go to church every day in Catholic school for Lent, and we used to have to beat on our chest like this. And it was actually back in my day, I'm showing my age, we had to say it in Latin. And I remember clear as day, it was Kyrie eleison, and we'd beat on our chest. And you know what that equates to? I'm not worthy. Over and over, beating on our heart. That's insane. I don't know if you feel the same way I do, but that's insane. Little children, I'm not worthy. I'm not. No wonder we're all messed up. Let's get away from all this deception and teaching children all these crazy things that aren't true. We have to empower who we really are. All of us are divine. And stop all this stuff with racism. That to me is what you focus in on, you're going to create in your life. Racism is not an issue. We're all one. We are all the same. We all have the same capacity. We're human beings trying to grow on a spiritual level. You can't be talking about someone's ethnicity or who they are, where they come from, when we have the same desire to shine from the light. All of that is totally irrelevant. And it's like what Sister Teresa said. She was so right. They asked Sister Teresa one time, said, would you participate in a protest against war? She said, absolutely not. Because when you protest, you're focusing in on the war. She says, but I would participate in a protest for peace. Because that's what she chose to focus in on, not the war. When we focus on anything, that's what we bring into our life and what we create. So always flip it around to the positive. We can't be focusing in on all these negative things, fear and hate, prejudice, all that crazy stuff that the media is throwing at us that we're supposed to be a part of. No, I refuse to be part of that mindset. We are all here as one. We're all growing together. And this is where we can come together and be safe talking about this. So going back to my chart here, I think it is so interesting. Anytime you bring up a chart, and just listen if you don't know astrology, is that the planet that rules your rising sign, your ascendant, the ascendant is right here, and the ascendant and the rising sign are the same thing. That planet rules the chart, and it is so important to that chart. For your birth chart, throughout your life, you will be focused in on that planet and whatever house it's situated in your chart. So looking at this chart for today and this week is what my intention was for this chart, what we're here to learn through and grow through. Mercury rules the ascendant here because it's Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. So therefore, Mercury's the chart ruler, and it sits in the 10th house of the chart, the 10th house is the house that's the highest, most elevated house of the chart. So that is the elevation, that's a social standing, that's the most powerful angle in a chart. Mercury, the chart ruler, sits there, and it sits next to the sun in the 10th house. And by the way, anytime you pull up a chart for noontime, wherever you are, the sun is always in the 10th house. And I always say at noontime, it's the time that the sun casts no shadows. So I love this, that I chose noontime because of this. But the sun rules what? The 3rd house. And this is where I went to when I looked at this chart. I looked at this chart before class, and I thought, I'm going to talk about the number 3 and how the 3rd house is so disregarded in astrology because it doesn't participate in any of the yogas that we talk about in astrology. But the sun rules the 3rd house. Remember what I said about the 3rd house? It's our willpower, it's our drive, it's our ambition. And if we don't have willpower to do something, you can't do it. So willpower is here. The sun rules Leo. So the sun, ruler of the 3rd, goes to the 10th with the chart ruler. They're both elevated. So we have the willpower to achieve what we want this week. Now, one more thing that this chart needs to be discussed is the moon. The moon is always going to be one of the most important things to always look at a chart. Your moon sign is everything. It's how you feel. It's how you think. It's your mind. It's consciousness. And the moon is in Taurus today. It's actually in the nakshatra called Rohini. And the moon is exalted in Taurus, the best nakshatra it can be in any prashna. Prashna means you know, a question chart or an electional chart, muhurta. When you choose a chart for an event, you need the moon in a good nakshatra. And they say Rohini is the best of all nakshatras. So I think we're doing pretty well with this chart today. The only thing is the moon is in the 12th house, and the 12th house can mean endings. It means behind the scenes, but above all else, I always say the 12th house deals with what? Spirituality. Spirituality, letting go, going into the collective unconscious, dreams, what's part of the other world, what is at the other side of life. That's what the 12th house is. And for the moon to be there, and we're a spiritual group trying to achieve consciousness, I think this is a perfect placement. So this, if you could call this a prashna that I chose for, you know, when we started this class, I think it is all about the realization of who we are spiritually and having the willpower to focus in, and it ties in together beautifully with this. We're all here with this burning desire to grow spiritually. And you know, with Rahu and Ketu going across the 11th and the 5th house, the 5th house is our creative mind, and the 11th house is groups and organizations. And look at that. Rahu sits in Aries, which reflects back here to the 8th house. Let me remind you, the 8th house is the house of metaphysical sciences and psychic ability. And we are really going to use that for what it's good for. 8th house being metaphysics, right? Metaphysical power. The 8th house can also be the house of death, endings, destructions. It's the most difficult house of the chart. It deals with, well, it deals with death, but more than anything, it also deals with transformation. And death is one of the most powerful transformations we make in life. So to look at that from the positive aspect, what this is all about, it's the death of the old way and the transformation into the spiritual light, but we have to work at it. It's hard right now, but we're going to do it. That's what this chart tells me. It's all about our spiritual work. And when we meet next week, we're going to be closer to this conjunction of the truth coming out for all of us in this world, for ourselves. Now, the outside world that doesn't want to grow, that doesn't care about any of this, yeah, they're just going to be where they are, and that's okay. But we want to wake up and we want to grow spiritually. And that's what this chart is indicating to us. And even, when you think about the Jupiter, Neptune, and the Venus, they're in the ninth house. For those of you that don't know astrology, and I hope I'm not boring you with astrology, but someone said they wanted to look at the transits last time. So that's what we're doing. These are the transits for the day. But the ninth house is spirituality and truth. And that's what we're all doing here. This is an incredible chart for what we want and what it represents. But one more thing, we're getting closer and closer to the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. Let's kind of focus on the transits week by week, because to jump ahead to where they're going and, what they're going to bring and how we're going to have to buckle up. Well, we are going to have to buckle up. I'm looking at one of the most intense transits that's going to happen August 1st. And you hear me talking in all my YouTubes about it. I have to do the drama and all of that to get people to watch my YouTubes, because you know what? Yes, it's drama. Yes, it's negative, but you'll always see me tie it in with the spiritual, because that's how I get people to pay attention. And, maybe there is a better way, but I've tried it. I've tried to do videos on spirituality, no views. But when I do it on, the drama of what's going on, but I pull people in to say, hey, this is what's going on. But let's pull it into how we can look at this from a spiritual perspective and what life is truly about. That's my idea of how to get more people on board to grow and to help the world. But okay, so that's it. Now I'm finished. It's like I've been going through this dissertation for an hour. I didn't even know that. If you haven't figured out, I have a Gemini rising. Geminis are talkers, right? So I really didn't even realize I went that long. But I want to open the floor now to everyone that has something to add to this, or if you have any questions about anything, please ask me. Go right ahead.
I just want to say I'm very thankful for this. Because I definitely need this right now. One of my younger brothers committed suicide Sunday night on my mother's birthday, and so I'm
so sorry.
I'm trying to get in the right headspace to take the 2-hour trip to East Texas to be there and support my family. My youngest brother actually found him, so.
It's horrible. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, I appreciate this a lot. I thank you for doing this, because I'm trying to find the good and the light in this. And I guess all I can think of is trying to help people who are battling addiction and suicide. This young generation, he was 20, and I don't understand what was so horrible that he had to do this. So I feel like I need to find a way to help others with that. So thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
When we help others, it gets us outside of ourselves. And I had a pretty dramatic week as well, Erica. My husband took his sister down to Panama City, Panama, to get stem cell treatment. And she almost died. She had a heart attack and a stroke, and she's been in intensive care. This is this energy, and my husband's still down there. They were supposed to be back a long time ago, but she's improving, and they're finally going to get home. But it wasn't like a devastating stroke or heart attack, but still, this is this energy. It is this intense. But that's why we need this. that's why we need to wake up. We can't, like the client I had that was suicidal this week. I had to really talk him into, not, realizing that when you do take your life, you're going to come back in another lifetime and have to do it over and over and over again till you get it. And all of us, all of us are locked into these repetitious lifetimes. We've been here, probably millions of times because we don't change. We have the same patterns, the same things, till we wake up and realize what that pattern is and how to change it. We're going to keep doing the same thing. We don't know any better, So thank you so much for sharing, and our prayers are with you. I promise you, all of us are going to be sending you energy. I want everyone to send Erica energy when we close, and in your time today, send her the healing light, and her whole family and her brother that's on the other side right now. Yeah, all of them need the light, not the dark. Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to say something?
This is Angie here in Southern California. Erica, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I just was looking at the chart for the United States, and we have K2 in the 12th house that just, entered into Libra. So it's going to be a very intense energy, I think, for many people experiencing a lot of loss and a lot of death. And the other thing I wanted to share is the picture that you put up of the eagle. So Garuda is, in the mythical stories that we study, the Garuda is the cosmic transportation. The cosmic Garuda takes us flying through the cosmos and really helps us take flight toward the light. So I think I just wanted to share that to me represented Garuda and how we're all really cosmically coming together and moving ourselves and those around us and anchoring more light. So I'm just really happy to be here. And thank you. This was incredible, the wisdom that you shared. So thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. And one more thing I want to add before we close, though, but I still want to talk to a lot of you, is that for this week, I want to send you with an exercise to do. And as I said, you have to be what you want. I want you to create a vision board, and somehow, maybe on a computer or a physical board, I want you to go through different pictures you might come across in magazines, or on your computer, print them, get them, put them out, put them on a vision board of what you want to manifest and be more like. Put those images of what you want your achievements to be. And I want you to focus in on it, constantly focus in on it. And when you're not in your best behavior, which we all do these things, try to recognize what you're doing and why you reacted like that, because all reactions come on a past behavior or conditioning, and that's what we need to change so that our life will be different. Okay, I want to send you on with that. We'll talk about our vision boards, but if there's anything anyone wants to say about what we covered last time, and that was, last time we were talking about our dreams, we were talking about breath work and how to do some different exercises using breath. But if anybody had any experiences from what we talked about last week, or if you want to talk about anything we talked about today, ask me questions, give us your ideas about all of this.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Hi. Okay. So this morning when I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, this word came to me, oneness. I never heard of this word before. So I looked it up, and the word oneness means individuality, union, unity. And the opposite of oneness is difference, fighting, opposition, discord. So I think it made sense for this word to come to me on the day that I have to, come to this class and speak to people.
That's beautiful. It is all, we are all one. Thank you so much. That is a beautiful sharing. I'm trying to figure out though how I can get it. Now, when people speak, let me see, I'm going to go out of sharing this. And yeah, and so whoever's speaking, I want to see you guys, even if it's just your photo. But do you see just me right now? Let me see. How do I do this? Speaker. Yeah. Okay. So now, yeah, now I see it. Okay. Thank you. It is all about oneness, and that's if I could say this really quick to take a takeaway from this. And I'll share with you probably with this in the future, but my very best friend died in 1998. I never had anybody that close to me die. I mean, she and I she knew everything about me. And it was so shocking when she died. But you know what? When she was on the other side, she communicated with me every day. And I would ask questions and she would answer me. And one thing that she was telling me that, it's really hard for us to understand what it's like on the other side. But one thing she told me that I'll never forget, she says, you can't understand this, but when you die, you become one with everything. And it is a much normal, natural feeling than to be separate from everyone and everything in your body. And I was like, yeah, it's really hard for me to understand that. She says, but trust me, it is so much more natural to be one with everything. And there is no fear anymore. There is nothing but love. And she gave me, and I'll share with you throughout this time that we have together on Tuesdays. I'll give you more of what she shared with me. But that came to mind to tell you that she said, you're one with everything and it's natural. So Erica, realized that your brother is one with everything and everyone, and he knows. And death is a beautiful thing. I'll never forget her sister, Lynn's sister, told me, she was by her bedside right before she died, but she went down the hall to get a drink of water. And while she was gone, she died. She was waiting for her sister to leave the room. And when she came back, she says that Lynn had the biggest smile on her face. She said it was so extreme, the smile on her face, that she said it must be really beautiful where she went. So I'll never forget that. But I'll share more with you. But just to know, death is not. Here's one more thing I'll say. It's my teacher one time told me this. He said, when we were born, everyone's rejoicing, but you're crying because you're back here again. But when you die, everyone's crying, but you're rejoicing, because then you're free from the chains of the physical body. And death is like a beautiful, beautiful thing, but we'll never get that, because as we are here, the thing that we recognize the most is the sense of loss that we feel when we lose someone, because we realize we're not going to see them again. It's so devastating. But it is, in a lifetime, this is just a second in eternity. And we're all here to grow, and we can all learn from one another. So please take the time to talk now, everyone.
Joni, namaste.
Namaste.
It is so beautiful. Every time you pull up this chart, it is so meaningful. And see how you started talking about number 3 and the 3rd house in the chart, and the ruler is sun. And then you said you like the noon time. So immediately I was reminded that ancient Vedic text says that there are 3 very potent times during the 24-hour period where, mantra is the same as affirmations. where our mantra siddhi means attainment of the mantra energy, or manifesting our affirmations. So 12 noon is one of the times. And if somebody has experienced or noticed that even if unconsciously, subconsciously, whatever thoughts we are experiencing at 12 noon, this is what is being communicated, and this is how manifestations happen. So some people who know about this, they do it intentionally, like they'll either for like 5-10 minutes before noon, 5-10 minutes after noon, they will do their mantra or their affirmations. And the other two very important times are before sunrise. So again, connected with the sun. Yeah. Just before the sun is coming up the horizon. And the third important time for mantra siddhi is dawn. You know, just time of sunset. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. And Erica, my prayers to you and your family. And one more thing, when you were talking about moon in the 12th and 8th house, you know how Saturn and Mars, they're in the 8th. So what I call the 8th house, I call it prerequisite to the 12th house, which is moksha. So prerequisite to achieving moksha is the 12th. So it is very important to understand the concept of death. Mm-hmm. And what I've come to understand is there's no such thing as death, because it's like recycling. You know, sometimes our conscious mind and also the subconscious, we are carrying the impressions of previous lives. So it becomes so much baggage, and it takes a toll on the body, because you mentioned about, I think, like addiction issues or something. What happens is, because we are unable to deal, and then we go the wrong way, we don't know how to channelize, and what it takes a toll on the body. So it is very hard to carry on this lifetime with that particular body. So the best is to let go of the body. It's the same thing, like, you know, my shoes wear off, so I let go. And I buy a new pair, I'm all excited. So the same thing, the soul enters a new body. Yeah. And we keep coming back. So he's not gone anywhere. And your brother is around, and you'll be amazed. You might have some experiences, dreams, other family members who are only the close people, like Joni. It was so beautiful, your story about your friend, and that you've also shared in your book, but it is so much better to hear it from you. Oh my God. And your childhood experience when you shared, oh, that is so pure, because you know, at that tender age of around 4, I used to have out-of-body experiences. And then later I studied in past few years that's a very tender age. Our subconscious is so active, and I call the 3rd house the subconscious mind.
It is. And you know, something else I want to add to this, you know, that's pretty much a prashna chart, or, you know, what we're going to be talking about. And for that Mars and Saturn to be in the 8th house of death, this is what, you know, we're here all to help carry. Is it carry? Is that right? that, no, it's not Carrie. It's
Erica.
Erica. Sorry, so I was looking at Carrie down there saying she's leaving us. So I read that. But Erica, this whole meeting was here to help you because it came up in the Prashna chart. It's so interesting. Recognize this, everybody. Everything happens on time and for a reason. Everything. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of reading these charts, because we can actually see what we're supposed to see of what's going on.
Perfect. You know, our first class, the destiny point was in Hasta Nakshatra, which is all about healing. And this time it is with Jupiter and Neptune.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it is. This is synchronicity to the max. This is what, this is what God is. That's it.
Right. Everything happens at its right time for the right reason. Yeah. So thank you, Geeta. That was beautiful what you added.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Joni, such a beautiful class. And Geeta, thanks for everything that you said, because you're absolutely right. You know, it's just about all of us coming together and this community here to support each other. And, you know, Erica, you know, my prayers, my thoughts, and of course, all of us, our prayers and thoughts are with you. And, you know, I know from experience that you will heal and you will be able to come out of this. I know right now it doesn't, you know, my cat was doing exactly the same thing. That's why I turned my video off in the beginning. She was walking right across me, so you would have seen her tail the whole time. But I just wanted to tell you that, you know, right now it seems, you know, impossible, right? It seems like it's dark, but you will come out of this, because when I was, I think I was 19, when my youngest uncle, who I was the closest to, he committed suicide. And he was only, you know, 28, because that's the age difference between my mom and him, you know. And it was very difficult for the entire family. We didn't see it coming. It was completely unexpected. And at that time, I was very depressed. You know, it took me a couple of years to come out of that. But exactly what Geeta said, you know, once I found Joni and found spirituality and astrology and all of this, that's when I realized that, you know, he's not gone anywhere. And I started sensing him around me, you know, and even like when I was driving, I would like, if you imagine the person is next to you, the person is next to you. It's not imagination, you know, it's, you really are connecting to that spirit. Yeah, I'm choking up. I'm still thinking about him, but I know you will come out of this. Okay. And anything you need, any help at all, let us know. We are all here to support you. Like Joni said, you know, the chart had Mars and Saturn in the 8th house. And, you know, this is the intention for today's meeting, right? And also, Joni, I wanted to say that amazing. I mean, it was so great that you went through all the positive things about Mars and Saturn, everybody on YouTube talking about, you know, all the, you know, depression and all that stuff going on. But, you know, when you think about it, Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and Mars is not exalted in any other signs. It's strongest in the sign that is ruled by Saturn, right? The reason for that, I feel, is because the energy, the action-oriented nature of Mars can only do well if it has the discipline of Saturn, right? Action that's disciplined and, you know, turns into hard work, turns into perseverance. That is what makes it really powerful. It is weak in the sign of Moon, because any action that comes out of emotion is not the right action, right? So when you think about where these planets are strong and weak, it makes a lot of sense. So I feel like, you know, the fact that exactly like you said, Saturn and Mars coming together, there's that upside of, you know, it gives us the ability to get through our checklist, get things done, you know, achieve all those goals. So I think, and this was an amazing class, Joni. I mean, everything that you were saying, and I loved the person who came on earlier, talked about Garuda. And, you know, even eagle, the mythology, the whole spiritual meaning of eagle is manifestation. And it is so in line, Joni, with the first 20 minutes of your talk. It was about manifesting. So
Yes.
I just love that book of yours.
And you know something else? house, when you think about the eagle, it's representative of the sign Scorpio,
Yeah.
which is 8th house again. I mean, everything is always connected. It's so fascinating.
It's the most transformational time.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
it is.
For everybody, because it's and especially for me personally, my Venus, Saturn is my Venus is 27.5 degrees in Cancer, and Saturn is exactly in the sky opposite. Yeah, and I'm going through transformation. Shri, thank you so much for saying what you said, and objectivity. This is what happens, you know, having Jupiter and Venus in Cancer. I become very emotional, and I want to this is what came to me when I was listening to Shri, and I want to say to Erica is you know, the reason you joined this series was the universe is already on your side, and that is why you joined this group, because you are supported from last week. This event was going to happen in your life and for your family, and you're going to be the support for your entire family.
Mhm. And I also like what Jessica said in the chat down there. And Erica, I want you to report back with us next week, because Jessica suggested you ask your brother to send you a message, and I know he will. So just listen to your dreams, listen to the signs, everything, you know, and you'll start seeing maybe birds or insects or signs on the wall. Everything will start communicating with you, and you'll get a very specific message from him.
Yeah.
And it's going to be part of your learning and your growth on this planet. He was here to help assist you grow. So,
Right.
yeah, anyway.
Erica, you're a blessing to this group, and whatever you're going through, we're all going to learn from your experience. This is how I feel.
Me too.
Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add anything different before we close? We've got, I think we're going to have this class where we talk for an hour. I talk for an hour, and then you guys get to ask questions for 30 minutes. So I hope that's a good format. Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to ask about something from last week about the red and the Mars. I know you dress for whatever you want, but it got me thinking, and I thought about it all week. What are the other colors, or where do you look that up?
Okay, good. So Sunday's the sun's day, which is orange red. Monday is the moon's day, which is white or pearl. And Tuesday is Mars day, which is red. And Wednesday is Mercury's day. We always have our astrology classes on Mercury's day on Wednesdays, and it's green. Let's see, Wednesday, Thursday's Venus's day, which is white. Friday, no, did I say that? Friday, no, Jupiter's day is Thursday, and it's yellow. I'm sorry. And Friday is Venus's day, and it's white. Saturday, of course, is Saturn's day, and Saturn's colors are black or blue. I think it's funny when we go out on Saturday night, we usually like our little black dress.
Yes, I was about to say that. And Mercury, I think, Joni, you said Mercury, Wednesday, right? The
Yeah,
green.
Wednesday, and it's green. Yeah, I'm sorry. So
Monday is pearl and Friday is white.
yes. So, you know, either one, you can wear white for the moon or Venus.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I just wanted, sorry, I've got a really bad cold. I
Oh,
just wanted to chime in that I'm in an intuitive group, and so we get updates on kind of where we are. And I love how last week and this week, your messages are right in line with it. And one thing they keep saying is this new paradigm is grounded finally. And it's big enough that there's no turning back, in the old ways, the corrupted ways, the lower emotions, you know, greed anger, jealousy, it can't survive in this new paradigm. So I think this is a great exercise to set our intentions and be the change we wish to see. And so it's just really fun how your messages are very much in line with that, and to get the same messages from like 3 different types of groups.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's that mass consciousness, everybody's tapping into the same thing. And of course, Joni's definitely tapping into it because she's saying the same thing you're hearing from other places. So that's just amazing. And I also wanted to kind of add into that, this is that whole Aquarius energy, right? Jupiter and Neptune, that's that paradigm that you're talking about. It's about coming together in groups and healing each other. And it's a very humanitarian sign. So that's exactly what that is. But thank you for sharing that.
I have a question or comment. One thing just to share, as my guides yesterday talked to me about the message of truth. So I feel very validated listening to your message today, and that feels great. I'm trying to understand on a personal level. One of my interests is understanding astrology more. So I'm really excited that you got into the transits. And I'm trying to move out of my Western astrology head into the more Vedic astrology. And at some point, maybe we can discuss really, like, it's hard for me to understand myself as a Virgo when I feel like I'm such a Libra. And, things like that. I'm trying to just make those little slight adjustments. So learning more about Vedic astrology is really of interest to me. So I'm super excited when you're discussing transits. That was me that asked the question last week.
Okay, good. Yeah, I hope I stepped up to do what you were thinking.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. I'm taking copious notes. I'm really happy.
Oh, good.
Anyway, thank you. I'm a psychic channel, so I feel like the astrology is grounding for me. I get, so it's really grounding, and I love it. I love everything you share. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for saying that. That's great. Anyone else want to have a voice today?
I would. I'm Sherry. And, I know nothing, zero about astrology. I am as green as you can be. And I have no idea why I have been so compelled to be a part of this. So, but I was very drawn a few weeks back. So sitting and listening to all of you, I am like, I'm trying to piece things together. So I have a long way to go, but I have learned a lot so much the last couple of weeks. And so I appreciate this. This has been interesting and fun and uplifting. And I've really looked forward to it. This is my lunch hour. So, I'm sneaking it in here. But anyway, I just had to say, I know nothing. And I really don't know. There's a reason why somehow I was drawn to this. And so I was all excited last night and this morning. Oh, tomorrow's Tuesday. All right. So we'll see how this goes and how much I can pick up. But thank you all for all your great input.
Thank you so much, Sherry, because my concern is that people like you that have no astrological knowledge are not going to appreciate what we're going through with all this. It looks like a foreign language. So I hope we put it so that you can understand what we're reading from this, even though you don't know astrology. I'm trying to make it real basic and simple, which astrology should be. People complicate things. And I don't want anybody here that doesn't know astrology to feel left out, like, oh my God, I don't know what they're talking about.
I don't feel that way at all. I'm probably holding all of you guys back.
No, don't say that. Nobody knows astrology to be part of this. So that's why I want to explain in simple language what it means.
Well, it's been fascinating. So thank you all. I appreciate your input.
Said that because I worried about that.
Oh no, it's been good. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Well, let's do one more. It's 1:30 where I am, but I'd love hearing from you guys.
Hi, everyone. I'm Monica Sheldon. The thing that strikes me that's coming together as a common theme, and Jessica said oneness, and as someone else said, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is a state of harmony and oneness. And, and then we've got just a lot of challenges and anger and difficulty. In the last class, you said, Joni, difficulty causes creation. And truth and deception is being ratted out and coming to the surface. Governments are falling apart. And the future of Aquarius, age of Aquarius, is smaller communities, more harmonious. And I just like, I hang on to that as sort of the larger frame of within which my life fits. And that my soul's purpose is to look for ways to influence this future harmonic state that we're all probably here in this lifetime to create and manifest for not just ourselves, but others. So would love to just always kind of hear, and I love your, your reading, because I'm always listening to it like, well, how does what you're seeing in the Vedic astrology maps track with what's happening in the world, which all has purpose and intention to move us towards this harmonious place? And then where do I fit in to help that movement happen? Because I would love to see it happen in my lifetime. But we're in a tough time right now.
Yeah, we're going to make it
as everything falls apart.
Yeah, but it's like things need to be destroyed for them to be recreated. And I think that's what we're looking at right now. So boy, I'm going to keep up with you. We're going to make these things happen for you. Okay.
And just to add to that, Monica, when you said, how does astrology come in? Traditionally, a long time ago in India, when they used to practice astrology, they would, not all of them, but most of them would kind of, bring it in with a negative connotation, right? This is going to happen. Stay at home. You may have an accident. It was all about fear, right? But if, now I've seen, and of course, my experiences with Joni, but I'm sure there are others out there too. But what I'm seeing through Joni is, using astrology, looking at your chart, looking at the challenges, and I know you agree with me, and trying to see where we can fix things, right? How we can rise above that chart. And you're absolutely right. That's where it fits in. It is helping us to become better versions of ourselves. It's not about like, I love the way, Joni, you put it, the gypsies. Such a, it put an image in my mind. It's not about that anymore, right? It's about rising above that chart and the challenges and trying to harvest the most positive meaning of it. So I just love that, Joni's teaching all of us to do that. And it's, I'm telling you, it's light years away from what I have seen, practiced in India. And I know, Geeta, you agree with that.
Well, what a lot of the Indian astrologers always want to tell you is when you're going to die.
Yes.
I want to know, how am I going to live, not die?
Yes. And when you're going to die, and what all remedies can you do to, overcome that, which is ultimately going to end up in paying them a lot of money.
Exactly. That's
but I just love the enlightened version of astrology, Joni, that you teach and you bring to the groups. And, I'm sure everybody here resonates with that.
Thank you, Shri. Okay, so that wraps up another week here, and this is getting better and better and better, isn't it? All the time. So you just wait. We're going to have all sorts of success stories about how we've transformed our lives to become our better selves, our better versions of ourselves, and reach a place where we feel happiness and joy, because that is really what the divine is part of, not suffering. No more suffering. That's what I have to say. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining me today on Tuesdays.
And Joni, before you close, I just had a quick thing for everybody here. And I know some people have dropped off. Did you guys have any problem in viewing the recording last time? We are trying to experiment with, putting it on YouTube unlisted. And if you guys had any issues, we can look at other ways to share it.
Okay.
Anybody, any issues? Were you able to look at the recording?
I watched it. It was great.
Okay, good. We'll continue to do that. And I'll also put on the website, I'll put all the guest speakers we have so far. If you're curious who's coming up in the months that till the end of the year, we have, like Joni said, we have a star lineup. So I'll put all the names out there who are committed. And it's amazing to look forward to that too. Right. Thank you.
Again, thank you, everyone. See you next week, same time. All right. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.